As predicted, the market is getting saturated with Scrum Masters, and through no fault of their own, they're a bunch of rule-worshipping, script-following, over-analyzing replicas of the industry template. But you don't have to be one, and it doesn't have to be that way. That's this week on the Badass Agile podcast. Greetings, team. Welcome to the Badass Agile podcast. I'm your host, Chris Williams. My friend, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. Grab a seat, make yourself comfortable, pour yourself a drink, whatever it is you do. I've been seeing a trend on LinkedIn, and I mentioned this in the last episode. It's all over social media. People are starting to debate. They're starting to divide. It's less interesting, the points and the ideas that are surfacing from these conversations. I'm no longer seeing helpfulness. I'm seeing hatred. Hatred of opposing ideas and hatred of one another. Seems to echo the political landscape that we're seeing in North America and all over. It's like there's holy wars all over the place. What's causing this? And more importantly, what are we going to do about it? Well, first, let's take a moment to remember why we're here. To create an elite tribe of leaders who truly serve their clients and communities by doing what matters and what works, relentlessly chasing value and excellence like a badass. There's so many resources out there about what you need to do to be agile, but we focus on who you need to become in order to lead teams. So let's hammer down those fundamentals to create a truly unique and powerful force in this industry. And remember, if this episode helps you or if it makes you laugh, don't forget to tell your friends. I've got an upcoming cohort of The Forge starting in March, so check out the links below if you want to find out more. And if you think that The Forge can help you in your organization, I invite you, I encourage you, I implore you to check out The Forge Professional. It's taking the world by storm. Get it inside your company, my friends. All right, let's dig in. What's happening on LinkedIn here? More and more essays. See, that's always a bad sign, right? People writing these big, long diatribes, not just a paragraph or two, not just a thought here and there, not just an inspiration, not just a prod, not a piece of helpful advice or welcoming information for those who are new to the field, but big, long points of view, let's call them, about the right or the wrong way to do Agile, to do Scrum. I've warned you about this before. Binary thinking. That if you do this certain way, you are good Scrum, but if you do it this way, you are bad Scrum. That's dangerous. Binary thinking of any kind is dangerous. You got to watch. What are we doing here? We're trying to be prescriptive. We're trying to say there is one way, even though everything we've read about Agile and Scrum says there is no magic bullet. There is no one great fix. This won't work everywhere, and it probably won't work the same way twice. But what do? We don't listen. We ignore it. We betray the first principles of this beautiful craft because we think we know better. And then, of course, what happens after that? Well, I read this stuff and I kind of go, but I don't respond. I don't engage because what am I going to do? Prove somebody else wrong? How does that help? How does that make things better? Have you ever gone to somebody who supports the political candidate that you don't support and convinced them to change their ways? It's rare. If people are going to change their minds about something or do things differently, they're going to get there when they're good and ready. But thinking that that's helpful commentary, helpful content on social media, I believe that gets you nowhere. Because if all it does is create discord, disarray, disagreement, and disrespect, then I think that's a clear sign that we ought not to be doing it. We're screwing it up. And it's funny when you read these things because in a way, they're attractive. They're alluring. They attempt to explain the mystique of Scrum and Agile using science. Sometimes people are explaining it using science, using research, using numbers generated by consulting firms who are world famous for analyzing and reporting on things they've never known or done themselves and have no intention of starting now. We're talking about this stuff like it's science, but folks, take a moment to remember what science is. Science is the examination and the exploration of the world around us to try to make sense of what we observe. We make hypotheses and then refine by looking at what remains consistent, what behaviors support that hypothesis, and what behaviors disprove or run counter to it. and so we expand and refine. Physics is not what physics was 100 years ago. Neither is medicine. And yet, don't we write these posts or see these posts as talking about absolutes the right way or the wrong way? That should be a sign. Warning, warning. Now, in most cases, I think that science is all about understanding the design of something that we didn't design or create. We're looking at the natural wonder, the world around us, and trying to make heads or tails of it. But Agile and Scrum are of human design. There should be very little mystery here. What's to argue before the fact? You want to know how to do good Agile or right Scrum? Go do it. Run a retrospective and say, hey guys, what'd you think? If nobody answers, you got to find a better way to approach those people to try to get that information out of them. If you have one person who's a resistor sitting in the corner with their arms folded, you got to find some way to break through and to reach them. How do you do that? By trial and error. Should you study up and try to learn those skills about how to warm a person up, how to break through? Yeah. Do you need to go and get a PhD in psychology to do it? No. There's a handful of simple, fundamental things that every person should know how to do if they're in a position of leading and working with other human beings. But you can learn those things quickly and start applying them right away, safely and effectively. Trust me, I'm living proof. This is what I've spent my career doing. This is the stuff that I teach people in the Forge. My point is not against science. I love science. Look at the wonders of technology that are all around us, all of human creation. Fantastic, the things that we've been able to innovate and create and understand and explore and experience. This will always be useful. But what's happening, folks, is that we're focusing on understanding rather than doing, building, shipping, creating stuff. If you spent an hour writing that essay on LinkedIn, guess what you didn't do with that time? Exploring human beings, contemplating your impact as a leader, figuring out how to get just a little bit better. We're so busy writing these essays, the length of which you never would have agreed to when you were in school. Just to do what? To prove that we're right, to support and magnify our worldview, and most importantly, to make sure that other people know how smart we are. Take a careful look. You'll see it. That's what it's for. Trust me, friends, if you shut LinkedIn off for a week or a month, nothing changes. You don't get worse as a practitioner. You might even get better. And you've probably steam ironed out some of your angst and anxiety. Maybe had a little more time to spend in self-reflection, or a little more time to spend with a book that's got nothing to do with Agile or Scrum. A little more time to be real and present with the people around you. I think we've gone bonkers. The amount of useless stuff that soaks up your attention and pulls you into comment threads is, to me, unbelievable. What value does it add? You tell me. I'm prepared to be wrong. You show me. When was the last time you got better because of the endless I disagree, or I would add to that, kind of back and forth junk that you see in social media posts? Imagine what this does, by the way, for people who are new to the craft. Can you imagine how confusing and disorienting this would be? Don't we owe them better? What options have you got? Well, if you're going to post on social media, I suppose you could stick to the inspirational, the encouraging, the positive, the uplifting, or you could just walk away from it. Or, if you want to make it a little bit better, focus on sharing your learning. If you've discovered something, don't put it out there as scientifically right, but put it out there as experienced. Here's what I did, and here's what happened. And here's how I think the two are related. Maybe that'll help another practitioner. Maybe that will help them improve or increase their knowledge. Try that instead. But guys, remember, what's our highest objective? What's the greatest value that we as Scrum Masters and coaches offer to the world? What is the impact that we have on the people that we live and work with every day? We should be spreading something worth spreading. If you learn something, great. Store it, share it, pass it on as a gift to others. But you should focus not on writing an essay about how clever you are, how smart you are, and how right you are, but you should be focusing on one thing only: going bigger. Because if you've got Agile skill, if you can help teams or individuals deliver the things that they most dream about, deliver the things that are of highest value to them, you have a gift. And it's your job to grow it as big as you possibly can for the benefit of as many people as you can reach. My friends, I hope you found this one inspiring, if not a little bit entertaining. You can find me as always on Instagram at badassagile, at badassagile.com. Don't forget to check out my communities. You can find the links below. I'd love to hear from you and discuss this episode in more depth with you. I can't tell you how grateful I am for everyone who has ever tuned into this podcast and had a listen. And even more so, for those of you who have reached out to let me know that it's made a change for you, that it's added some value for you. Thank you once again. I look forward to next time, and until then, you know what to do. Stay badass.